Ladies and gentlemen, life will never ask your permission before applying pressure. It won't wait until you feel ready. The phone will ring, the moment will arrive, the clock will tick, and there you are, standing at the crossroads of decision. And here's the truth Jim Rohn taught us. Your life does not change by chance, it changes by choice. Under pressure, most people don't rise to the occasion. They fall to their habits. That's why pressure feels dangerous. Not because it's powerful, but because it exposes unprepared thinking. When emotions are loud and time is short, the untrained mind panics, but the disciplined mind pauses. Pressure says, decide now. Wisdom says, decide right. The secret is simple but not easy. Slow your thinking, not your action. You don't need more time. You need more clarity. Ask better questions in intense moments. What's the long-term cost? Will this choice serve my future or satisfy my fear? Because fear loves urgency, but success loves patience. Jim Rohn reminded us that small disciplines repeated daily create massive results. That means the best decisions under pressure are made before the pressure arrives. You train your standards when life is calm, so they don't collapse when life is loud. You decide in advance what you will tolerate, what you will walk away from, and what you will stand for. Pressure will try to rent space in your mind. Don't let it move in. Emotion is a visitor, not a leader. Let values drive, not feelings. When you anchor yourself to principles, chaos loses control over you. And remember this, every poor choice under pressure begins with forgetting who you are. But every powerful decision begins with remembering where you're going. Successful people don't ask, what's easiest right now? They ask, what's required for the life I want? So the next time pressure shows up, and it will, don't panic. Smile, because this is not the moment that breaks you. This is the moment that proves you've been building something strong all along. Stand tall, think clearly, choose wisely. Because the future you want is waiting on the decision you make today. Pressure doesn't create who you are, it reveals what you've practiced. Pressure is often blamed for bad decisions, but pressure itself is innocent. It doesn't force you to choose poorly. It simply uncovers what you have already trained yourself to do. When the heat is on, when the room feels smaller, when the clock is louder than your thoughts, you don't suddenly become someone new. You become more honestly yourself. Your habits step forward. Your preparation speaks. Your discipline, or lack of it, takes control. Think about it. Under pressure, there is no time to invent character. There is no space to borrow wisdom. You don't rise to hope, you fall to what you've rehearsed. That's why some people crumble in critical moments while others look calm, centered, and confident. It's not luck. It's not talent, it's practice. Pressure is like a mirror held up to your daily routine. If your days are filled with excuses, pressure will expose them. If your days are filled with discipline, pressure will reveal strength. Jim Rohn often reminded us that success is not something you pursue. It's something you attract by the person you become. And pressure simply shows the world who you have been becoming all along. Most people wait for pressure to arrive before they start thinking seriously. That's backwards. By then, it's too late to build clarity. Under pressure, the mind doesn't search for the best option. It reaches for the most familiar one. That means your familiar thoughts, your familiar reactions, your familiar standards decide the outcome. If your familiar response is panic, you panic. If your familiar response is responsibility, you respond with control. Pressure doesn't test intelligence as much as it tests habits. A highly intelligent person with undisciplined thinking will still make emotional decisions under stress. Meanwhile, A person with average intelligence but strong daily discipline can make powerful, life-changing choices in the toughest moments. Why? Because discipline creates stability, and stability creates clear thinking. This is why preparation is not optional. Preparation is not something you do after things go wrong. Preparation is what allows you to remain steady when everything feels unstable. You don't practice calm during chaos. You practice calm during ordinary days. You don't develop confidence in emergencies. You build confidence through keeping promises to yourself when no one is watching. Pressure will always speed things up. It speeds up emotion. It speeds up fear. It speeds up doubt, but preparation slows you down internally. It gives you space between stimulus and response. In that space lies wisdom. In that space lies choice, and that space is created long before pressure arrives. People often say, "I didn't mean to react that way," but reactions are rehearsed. They are the result of repeated thinking patterns. If you constantly rush decisions in small matters, pressure will magnify that habit. If you avoid responsibility in normal situations, pressure will push you to escape instead of decide. Life is consistent that way. It never lies. Pressure reveals your standards, not your words, not your intentions. Your standards, what you tolerate, what you settle for, what you refuse to walk away from, under pressure, standards either hold or collapse. That's why successful people decide their standards early. They don't negotiate with stress. They don't bargain with fear. They already know who they are and what they stand for. When pressure comes, it asks a simple question: have you been practicing? Practicing patience, practicing responsibility, practicing self-control, practicing long-term thinking. If the answer is yes, pressure becomes fuel. If the answer is no, pressure becomes a threat. The beautiful thing is this: pressure doesn't care where you start. It only cares how you prepare. Anyone can change what pressure reveals by changing what they practice daily. Small choices repeated consistently shape your response in big moments. Read when it's easy so your mind is strong when it's hard. Decide when the stakes are low so you can lead when the stakes are high. Pressure is coming for everyone. That's guaranteed. But pressure does not get to decide who you are. You decide that in advance, through discipline, through preparation, through daily choices that seem small at the time but become powerful when it matters most. Every decision made in chaos is a vote for the person you are becoming. Chaos is not just noise around you, it is noise inside you. It's the rush of emotion, the pressure of urgency, the fear of loss, and the weight of expectation all colliding at once. In those moments, you are not simply choosing an option. You are shaping your identity. Each decision under pressure is not just about what happens next, but about who you train yourself to be next time. Most people think decisions are isolated events. They believe a bad choice is just a bad moment. But life doesn't work that way. Decisions stack, they compound, they build momentum in a direction, and chaos accelerates that momentum. When you choose poorly under pressure, you are not just dealing with consequences. You are reinforcing a pattern. And patterns, once repeated, become personality. Chaos has a way of stripping life down to its essentials. There's no room for overthinking, no space for pretending. What's left is your default mindset. That's why chaos is so revealing. It forces a vote for patience or panic, a vote for responsibility or excuse, a vote for long-term growth or short-term relief. Jim Rohn often emphasized that we are becoming something every day. We are either becoming more disciplined or more careless, more thoughtful or more reactive, and chaos doesn't pause that process, it speeds it up. Under pressure, the direction you've been moving suddenly becomes visible. Every rushed decision teaches your mind that rushing is acceptable. Every emotional reaction trains your brain to let feelings take the lead. And every time you avoid responsibility in chaos, you tell yourself that escape is a solution. The problem is not just the result of that decision. It's the lesson your mind absorbs from it. On the other hand, when you choose clarity in chaos, you cast a powerful vote for self-respect. When you pause instead of panic, you train strength. When you choose principle over pressure, you reinforce identity. Those moments become reference points. Your mind remembers them. Next time chaos appears, confidence shows up faster. Chaos is never neutral. It is either shaping you or you are shaping yourself within it. There is no standing still. That's why awareness is so important. When you recognize that every choice is a vote, you stop treating decisions casually. You stop saying it doesn't matter, because it always matters. If not today, then tomorrow. People often ask how successful individuals remain calm in intense situations. The answer is not emotional control alone. It is identity clarity. They know who they are becoming, so they protect that direction fiercely. They don't let one chaotic moment undo years of intentional growth. Chaos tests your internal alignment. Are your values just words, or are they guides? When pressure rises, values either step forward or disappear. If they disappear, it means they were never practiced. If they lead, it means they were built into your thinking long before the moment arrived. This is why personal growth is not about motivation. It's about identity. Motivation fades in chaos. Identity holds. If you see yourself as disciplined, you will look for disciplined options. If you see yourself as responsible, you will accept ownership even when it's uncomfortable. But if you see yourself as a victim of circumstances, chaos will confirm that belief every time. The danger of chaos is not that it makes you fail once. The danger is that it teaches you who you think you are. One bad decision under pressure can whisper a lie. This is just how I am. But that lie only becomes truth if you keep voting for it. You always have a choice, even when it doesn't feel like it. You may not control the situation, but you control the vote. You control whether this moment strengthens or weakens your future self. Chaos doesn't demand perfection. It demands awareness. When you understand that every decision under pressure is shaping your character, you begin to slow down internally. You stop asking, "How do I get out of this?" and start asking, "Who do I want to be because of this?" And that question changes everything. Chaos will keep coming, but so will opportunities to cast better votes. And over time, those votes don't just change outcomes, they change you. Better choices are not made by chance, they are made by preparation. People often say they were caught off guard by a situation, as if life suddenly cheated them. But life doesn't ambush us, it tests us, and tests are never passed by luck alone. The quality of your choices in difficult moments is almost always the result of how you prepared when nothing was urgent and no one was watching. Preparation is not dramatic, it doesn't feel heroic. It's quiet, repetitive, and sometimes boring. That's why most people avoid it. They wait for inspiration instead of installing systems. They wait for motivation instead of building discipline. Then, when pressure arrives, they hope for clarity. Hope is not a strategy. Preparation creates margin, It gives you room to think when others feel trapped. It allows you to breathe when others feel rushed. When you are prepared, urgency does not control you. You already know your standards. You already know your values. You already know your direction. So when a decision must be made, you are not scrambling for answers. You are executing principles. Most poor decisions are not caused by lack of intelligence, but by lack of readiness. Under stress, the brain seeks efficiency, not excellence. It looks for the fastest path to relief. Preparation rewires that instinct. It trains the mind to look for the right path, not the easy one. Jim Rohn taught that success is a few simple disciplines practiced every day, while failure is a few errors in judgment repeated daily. Preparation lies in those daily disciplines, reading instead of scrolling, reflecting instead of reacting, planning instead of improvising. These habits may seem insignificant in the moment, but they quietly shape how you think when the stakes are high. Preparation also builds self-trust. When you consistently prepare, you begin to trust your judgment, and trust reduces panic. Panic clouds thinking. Confidence clarifies it. This confidence does not come from ego. It comes from evidence. Evidence that you have done the work, evidence that you have thought ahead, evidence that you are not relying on emotion to save you. Without preparation, decisions feel heavy, everything feels risky. Every option feels uncertain. With preparation, decisions feel cleaner, not always easier, but clearer. You may still feel pressure, but you are not overwhelmed by it. You are grounded. Preparation turns reaction into response. Reaction is instant and emotional. Response is deliberate and thoughtful. The difference between the two often determines the difference between regret and growth, and that difference is built long before the moment arrives. Many people confuse preparation with prediction. They think they must know exactly what will happen. That's not preparation. That's illusion. True preparation is about strengthening your thinking, not guessing outcomes. It's about developing principles that guide you regardless of circumstances. Prepared people ask better questions under pressure. Instead of "what do I feel like doing?" they ask, "what aligns with my long-term vision?" Instead of "how do I avoid discomfort?" they ask, "what choice builds character?" Those questions don't appear magically in stressful moments. They appear because they have been practiced repeatedly. Preparation also reduces regret. Regret is often the echo of unprepared thinking. It's the realization that you acted without clarity. When you prepare, even if the outcome isn't perfect, you can stand by your decision. You know it was thoughtful. You know it was aligned, and that peace is priceless. The irony is that preparation feels optional until it becomes essential. When life is calm, preparation feels unnecessary. When life is chaotic, it feels urgent. The mistake is waiting. The right time to prepare is always now. Life will continue to apply pressure. That's not a threat, it's a guarantee. But pressure does not have to control the quality of your choices. Preparation gives you leverage. It turns moments of stress into moments of strength. Better choices are never accidental. They are the natural outcome of a mind that has been trained, a character that has been shaped, and a life that has been lived intentionally. Now let's bring it all together, because motivation without conclusion is like effort without direction. At the end of the day, pressure will not stop showing up in your life. It doesn't ask whether you are ready, confident, or comfortable. It simply arrives, and when it does, it hands you a moment that looks ordinary on the outside, but carries extraordinary power on the inside. That moment asks one question, asterisk, who have you been preparing to be? Asterisk, you don't decide your future in the calm moments alone. You decide it when your heart is racing, when the odds feel unfair, when the room feels heavy, and when quitting feels reasonable. Those are the moments that write your real story, not the moments when it's easy to be disciplined, but when discipline feels expensive. Understand this clearly. Pressure is not your enemy, it is your invitation. An invitation to rise above impulse, an invitation to act with intention, an invitation to become stronger than your circumstances. Pressure is the training ground where ordinary people decide whether they will live ordinary lives or step into something greater. You don't need perfect conditions to make powerful decisions. You need standards. You need principles. You need the courage to pause when the world screams hurry. Because the fastest decision is not always the wisest one, and the loudest emotion is rarely the best advisor. Every time you choose clarity over chaos, you win. Every time you choose responsibility over excuse, you grow. Every time you choose long-term vision over short-term relief, you build a future that doesn't collapse under pressure. These choices may feel small in the moment, but they shape something massive over time. Remember this, your life is not the result of one big decision. It is the result of thousands of small ones made consistently, especially when no one is clapping, when no one is watching, and when no one is praising you. That's where character is formed. That's where strength is built. You are not powerless in stressful moments. You are powerful, but only to the extent that you have prepared yourself. Preparation gives you options, discipline gives you confidence, values give you direction. And when those three come together, pressure loses its ability to control you. Stop waiting for pressure to disappear before you act wisely. It won't. Instead, become the kind of person who can stand steady when pressure rises. Become the person who thinks clearly while others panic. Become the person who chooses growth when others choose comfort. And don't underestimate yourself. You are capable of far better decisions than you've made in the past. Your past mistakes are not proof of your limits. They are proof of your lessons. What matters now is not what happened before, but what you practice from this point forward. Practice patience. Practice responsibility. Practice thinking beyond the moment. Practice becoming someone your future self will thank you for. Because one day, you will face a moment that demands everything you've been building. And when that moment arrives, you won't be wishing for luck. You'll be relying on preparation. The greatest reward of making better choices under pressure is not success alone. It's self-respect. It's knowing that when it mattered most, you didn't abandon your values. You didn't betray your vision. You didn't shrink. You stood firm. So when pressure knocks, don't panic. Straighten your posture, calm your breath, and remind yourself, asterisk, this is what I've been preparing for. Asterisk, this moment is not here to defeat you. It's here to define you. Make the choice that strengthens you. Make the choice that aligns with your future. Make the choice that turns pressure into proof of who you are becoming. Because in the end, the quality of your life will always reflect the quality of your decisions, especially the ones made under pressure.